Good morning. Do you hear me? Does it work? Welcome, and I want to thank again for this great opportunity to be a speaker in the first Lean conference in Iceland, and I want to thank Sprettur for this opportunity. Great initiative. Before I go any further, I want to show a video of what Össur is really about, so please.
Inspiration is a team of colleagues I work with.
I like helping people all around the world.
I'm really inspired to rethink the things that we take for granted.
Making ideas come to life that makes a difference in people's lives.
As you can see, Össur is a very ambitious company, and it's really nice to work for a company that has the mission to improve people's mobility, and it really gives a good motivation. As you saw in the video, the headquarters is in Iceland, and the biggest manufacturing area is here and in Mexico. The manufacturing area consists of the silicone liner manufacturing, our CCP area, and our manufacturing departments is assembly, bionics, carbon foot manufacturing, a CNC shop, and a silicon manufacturing. We also have a financial and IT department, research and development, and IT. Our Lean is mostly in the manufacturing area, but IT department is using Agile. The financial department has gotten Lean training and is using it more. And then we have a global process developing team that is also working with the finance department. We want to include R&D more in our Lean efforts, but as we all know, we can't take the elephant by eating it at one go. So for now, we're focusing on the manufacturing area. I want to go through a little bit about Össur's Lean journey. It started with our upper management. They went for a conference and a benchmarking tour in Ireland, and they saw a company there, and they said, "What are you doing? What are you doing that we are not doing?" And the answer, 5S and Lean. So they started thinking and decided that they wanted to go this path. So in 2009 and 2010, they got a consultant called Ken Rolfs to come to Össur and do 2 Kaizen events, one in the CCP area and one in the Silicon area. And after that, Lean really got a momentum because the results were really amazing, especially in the CCP area, where the cycle time went from 7 days to 1.5 days with fewer people and less work in process, and that was only done in 2 weeks. At this time, the process owners were already defined, and the implementation of Safety plus 5S started. And after that, or soon around mid-2010, Lean champions were hired. In Europe, US, and Iceland, they got me, so they're stuck with me. In 2011, we continued to do Kaizen events. We started to assess us in regards of Lean. Where are we and where are we going with this thing? We went to a lot of Lean conferences, benchmarked a lot of companies, and we trained ourselves, and then we started to train our process owners, supervisors, and key people in basic Lean. We gave our 5S a little bit more energy and focus, and of course we did more Kaizens. For us, the training was the key turning point. Instead of the whole thing hinging on one person, we were able to get all the people going, so that was really a turning point for us. In 2012, we saw that we needed to focus more on strategic deployment, and we needed to make sure that our operators and everybody knew where we were going. And we want to link that to our Kaizens, because we wanted all to connect together. Also on that note, we started suggestion system, because we want to get all those little ideas, all those little Kaizens going as well. And of course, we plan to do even more Kaizens in 2012. Lean is quite young in Iceland, and I think only a handful of companies have really implemented it very far. So just before I continue, I would be nice to know, and Össur people, I know you know what Kaizen is, but other people here, do you know it or have you been using it in your companies? Okay, so maybe half. I was a little bit worried if I would get 100% yes, that I would just have to go, you know it all, it's done, but thankfully I will teach something new here today. But a Kaizen for Össur, it's a continuous improvement tool where our employees are part of the change and the solution. So it's not a typical project where an expert comes into the production area and tells people what to do. So it's not like that. We are getting the real expert to help us, which are the people that are creating the value and really working on the floor. And of course, the experts, they can come as well and help, but we're relying on the other people. We find the solution and we implement it in a few-day event. So long gone are the long projects that take forever to implement. Well, at least most of them. So where do we find Kaizen opportunities? Well, where do you find any projects? You can use Kaizen really for solving any kind of project. But for us at Össur, we find it with value stream maps. We map our current state and future state, and we do Kaizen's event to get there. Through our strategic deployment, we have a vision, we want to go somewhere, and we use Kaizen events to get there. On firefighting, you know what I'm talking about, it's in every company. So when there's a fire, we try to use Kaizen to solve it. Managers' request. Sometimes managers come and say, hey, I can see an opportunity here. I would like to look at this better. Would you mind doing a Kaizen? Of course. Suggestion systems, low-hanging fruits, quick wins. Lean assessment. That's quite good because when we did our lean assessment, we knew, okay, we want to go there. But if we want to go there, we need to do more Kaizens, for instance, in SMED or something else. So whatever gets you there, it doesn't matter, and a Kaizen is a great tool to use. This is our typical phases in a 3 to 5 day Kaizen event for Össur. As you can see, the planning, preparation, and training is 2 to 4 weeks before. I do not mean that the whole team is just doing this 2 to 4 weeks. No. It's normally the Kaizen leader that starts to do it 2 to 4 weeks before the event, and he's the one that is in this phase mostly. And it's not a full-time job for 2 to 4 weeks, it's part of the job. In the planning, you are deciding what to do and why you're doing it. Preferably, you want to connect it to a business case because you want the manager to say, wow, you did this Kaizen, what a great Kaizen, and it's connected to our A3s and all that stuff. In this phase, you're also gaining a common understanding of the current state with the manager or the supervisor. In the preparation phase, you're thinking about who should be in this Kaizen, when should it be done? Is there anything we need to do beforehand? Do we need to 5S? Do we need to buy anything? What lean tools could we use to solve the problem? In the preparation, you can also start preliminary measurement, for instance, time, work in process, setup time, etc. Then the training is done, and if it is a big training, I prefer to do it before, just because of the reason you're not using the time in the Kaizen to train. And it also gives the operators a little bit time to think about the lean tools before we implement them. Then we have the multi-day improvement. And just to clarify one thing, because this comes as a shock to many people, when we are doing this multi-day improvement days, the operators are not working on their normal jobs, nor are the specialists. So please, if you're doing a multi-day Kaizen event, please move your meeting schedule so you have time to be there. And for supervisors, if it's a sensitive production and you need to make sure you have enough, you need to plan for that. You need to get somebody else to work for those people. There's nothing more annoying than a supervisor that is, are you almost done? Are you almost done? Have you had a lot of improvements? You know the kids, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? No, and it doesn't help your creativity when you have somebody breathing down your neck. So just please make sure that you know that. And after this multi-day improvement day, something needs to have changed. We can't have a multi-day improvement event and then we go and do exactly the same thing as we did before, because then it's a complete waste of time, isn't it? So we need to do that. And what we're doing in this event is that we're coming up with hypotheses and we're testing. And after this, we have selected the hypothesis we want to implement, and then the follow-up comes. 30, 60, and 90-day follow-up. It shouldn't come to no surprise that this process follows, of course, plan, do, check, act cycle that you can see in all the lean tools. I would also like to say that in the beginning for Össur, our Kaizen were full 5 days, but nowadays it's probably closer to 3 days. Here we go through day number 1. It's our first day, and what I start as a Kaizen leader is that I start by introducing the group. They tell me what their name is, they tell me what their position is, and normally I ask them to tell me something about them that the other group doesn't know, or a celebrity that they have met. And why am I doing this? I'm not trying to spy on them. I'm trying to get a start of mutual trust and understanding and get some happiness in the group. And it's very funny because some people actually name Geir Ólafs. It's most often celebrity that is said that they have met. So either he is running around like crazy in Reykjavik, or I don't know. But he's the most often named. And I have also heard, oh, I used to, pinch, candy in a sweet store. Okay, everyone laughs and a mutual trust begins. After that, we go through our charter. Our charter is basically our compass. Where are we going with this project? Why are we doing this project? What are our goals? What is our time frame? This is what we look at so we won't scope creep. So it's very important to have this visual. And normally when I'm doing a Kaizen event, I have a meeting room for the entire time and papers all around. And I have this charter visible as long as the schedule. Then I like to have a short training or a game, a simulation of the tools that we would like to use just to get the blood flowing and the trust going with the group. And people laugh and it just gets things going. After that, we all go to Gemba, and as we heard before, it's the actual place where the actual stuff is happening. So we're not finding the current state in the meeting room unless it's an office Kaizen. So if it's a production Kaizen, we go there and we go and look. And the Kaizen leader needs to make sure that people are looking at the process, not that one is on the iPhone, one is calling, one is doing this. Everyone needs to be looking. And together we find the current situation, what is going on. And then days 2 to 4 are a bit cycle of the same. We're observing and we're measuring. We go to discuss our ideas, we go through the charter, and what I like about the charter is that there is always a person, always, that comes up with some outrageous idea that costs a lot of money and isn't going to give us anything. And you don't want to be that person that is just like, no, we don't want that, because it ruins the creativity for the other. They think, oh, maybe my idea is not as good. So what is great to say is to use the charter and say, oh, is it in the scope? And if it's in the scope, you can use an impact difficulty matrix and say, oh, it's very, very expensive and it's not really beneficial, so we're not going to implement that right away. Then we go to make a hypothesis. We say, okay, we think this is what we can do. But it's not enough to think. We have to go and we have to try. And in our Kaizens, we have gone and changed, I think one shelf in one CCP event, I changed it like 5 times. And we were moving it around, and people thought we were going crazy because we were moving so much around. And these days are often the hardest ones, because we work long hours, and we're trying to get everything going, and test, to make sure that we're finding the right hypothesis. So we're checking if it worked, and then we go again to observe and measure. In day 5, we're summarized with a Kaizen group what we benefit from this thing and what happened. We make a final presentation. And in the final presentation, if I'm the Kaizen leader, it's not going to be me yapping for 30 minutes while the others are just like, no, it's not like that. We divide the presentation and we make the operators present. And it's twofold. Number one, it's a good training for them. They're developing in the job, and they, practice coming and talking in front of their peers. And also, when you have to talk about something, you need to really know what it's about, because you don't want to get a question and you're just like, I don't know. So you really learn what the Kaizen was about. And then we practice the presentation, just surely for the operators, because normally they're not used to going up there. And then we have a wrap-up meeting. And in the wrap-up meeting, we want to have the whole department there, and the managers, the specialists, because this is part of the training. Because on Monday morning, after a Kaizen event, things are changed. So we want people to know you're not going to do this the same way as before. So in this meeting, we go through what has changed and what is happening. And after that, there's a celebration. And this has been a little bit tricky, because in the beginning, we had really few Kaizens. And we wanted to celebrate. And what do we do in Iceland when we celebrate? We have a party. So we started to have a party, and everyone was feeling good. But I was a little bit more conservative. So after my Kaizens, it was only coffee and cake. So people were like, Viktoría, yeah, she's leading my Kaizen. I'm only getting coffee and cake. They got a party in Bionics. What do we need to do to get a party here? So me and Stefan, we discussed this, and we said, what can we do? I mean, we want to have Kaizens here all day long. We're going to be alcoholics if we're going to be partying all day. So we decided to standardize it and have it coffee and cake. So I won. So but that's the thing. You want it not to be so big of celebration that every time it has to be bigger. It's supposed to be part of the job. So it's just supposed to be a pat on the back and, well done, good job. The Kaizen leader, for me, has to have a previous experience with Lean, knowledge of the tools, because if not, how is he ever going to say which tool is appropriate and help the people and train them? He's not a dictator. And this is very important. The Kaizen leader, at least when I am a Kaizen leader, I am not the one, you're doing this, you're trying to get the group to find the best way. But he needs to be able to take control when necessary. And this is especially important when the group is big. But when I'm leading a Kaizen, normally the first thing I say is that, okay, I'm an engineer, but I am no expert in what you are doing. You're the expert, so you need to help me. And then I use a story, and I say, you can look at me like a midwife. I'm, getting the baby out there, but you are pushing and, getting the ideas out. But I know the tools, and I can, get it out, but I can't come up with all the ideas, because I'm not working there all day long, and I, don't know the process as well as you. So normally it gets a little giggle, and also they understand what I mean. It's also very important that the Kaizen leader, he's asking the right questions. So if people are bringing up hypotheses, he's the one that needs to ask why, is it relevant, what are we gaining from it, and etc. And another thing that is quite important, if you're a Kaizen leader, you can't be on the phone like, yeah, I'll see you in half an hour, or going to a meeting. You need to be with a group, and if you're doing changes on the floor, the Kaizen leader is doing that as well. The group, I say max 7 to 10 people, just purely because it's harder to control a bigger group. And if you have a bigger group, there needs to be a co-Kaizen leader or somebody to help you, who can attend operators, the specialists, managers, anyone that's relevant to the process. And for me, it's good to mix new employees with older, because the new ones, they push boundaries, and they're like, well, why this, why that? While the older ones are like, we've tried this and it didn't work, and so it's good to have a mix of both. You need to have a Kaizen leader and a Kaizen co-leader, and of course a supporting team to help you. I would also like to mention one thing. When you are selecting people in the group, you need to talk to the supervisor, the person that actually know the people you're working with. Because it happened for me, I was more keen on getting everyone in the department. I wanted to show my numbers. 100% of people have done a Kaizen in Össur. It was more important to me than fitting the right persons in. But I'm very pushy, so I got my way and I got this person, and it didn't really work out, so I should have listened to the supervisor. So listen to the people that know the employees best in selecting who should be in the Kaizen. New ideas. We want our operators to think that even though something is working, we can improve it further. We're thinking about what the customers want, and we want all the ideas out. We don't want to evaluate them, and normal brainstorming techniques apply here. And we're trying to get ideas from everyone in the group. And for me, when I'm doing that, at least with operators, what has worked best is just discussion, and somebody is writing the ideas down. We've tried, one idea per operator on Post-its, and it was very constrained, and it really didn't work, at least not for us. And you have to tell them that they are the experts. Okay, has anyone done skydiving here? Anyone in the group? Yeah, me too. I went in New Zealand, and they're crazy in New Zealand. They just said to me, oh, you want to skydive? Jump in the plane, see you down there. Do you think that's likely? Okay, they're not that crazy, are you kidding? No, of course they didn't do that. They took me through a course, they told me about the safety. We went through all the things that would happen. Then we went into a plane, and I was stuck onto another person. We went tandem, and off we went. The same thing is with Kaizen. It's very terrifying to do your first Kaizen when you know nothing what it's about and you're just pushed into it. That's why it's good to have somebody to help you and that you have experience with it. And I always feel nervous when I'm doing Kaizens, even though I've done thousands of them. Okay, not thousands, okay, that's an exaggeration. But I'm always nervous because you think, am I good enough of a leader? Will this group find what it takes? Will we be successful? But as soon as you start the Kaizen, it goes away because you can feel the atmosphere, you can feel the people, they want to do good in the job, they want to find a solution. Now I want to go through a little bit about examples of Kaizen that we have done in Össur. First I want to go through a setup reduction, or a single-minute exchange of a die, method developed by Sheiko Shingo, which focus on reducing the changeover time from producing last part A to first part B. And it's 4 stages, and we've mainly been in stages 1 and 2. And this is absolutely the key to be able to decrease batch sizes and get closer to one-piece flow. We've done 2 events in the CNC machine area, and we're hoping that these 2 events will be able to implement in other setups. And we've done 4 in silicon area. And we are very lucky. We have Stefanur, you can see him there on the pictures, like, and he's also there. He is our SMED expert. And we're lucky to have him because he's a rare hybrid of a mechanical and a lean lover. So he has mainly been doing these SMED events. And here we can see some examples of SMED events that were really good. You can see 69% reduction after just one event, went from 80 to 25 minutes, and then 64 to 24 minutes, 61% reduction. So this really, really works. And what we're doing is that we're trying to push our operators to think outside of the box. And I sometimes use the analogy of fixing a tire. For me, it takes forever because I don't know what to do. You know, I do it very seldomly, I'm not trained, I don't have standard work, and it takes a really long time to get somebody to help me out on the street to get my tire fixed. So if somebody would say to me, Victoria, you know, people can do it in 3 to 4 minutes, I would laugh and say, you're crazy, dude. But what do we do? You know, anyone change their tires from winter to summer tires this year? They do it, what, 4 tires in like 10, 15 minutes? That's crazy. Or is it? No. And then you would say to them, you know, that's so slow. You can do it in 2 seconds. They would, you know, they would think you were crazy, but it's possible. And that's what we're trying to get our operators to think. Think outside of the box. Don't think always, no, 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 it's not possible. To think, yes, 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 we can do it. And then we've implemented safety plus 5S. And when we implemented it first, we did it kind of way like, we're implementing 5S, we went, took pictures, and it didn't quite work because we didn't have the people with us. It relied on too few people. So we decided to go again, and this time we divided the apartments in smaller areas. And we started with the CCP area. And we did a 3-day event, not just 5S, but also other stuff. And then we had the presentation for the people. And we said to them, now we have done this, now you go and do it yourselves. And people were just like, what? You did this in 3 days and you expect us just to do it on the fly? So we swiftly changed our pace and decided to help them, and that actually worked a lot better. And what we do is that we go through the first 3 S's, we do a spaghetti diagram and flow analysis and change the flow. And then after that we do standard work, cleaning plan, and then we start audits to sustain the results. And here you can see the assembly team. They were fantastic in this event, and if you're doing the benchmarking tour with us on Friday, I dare you to go and look in Steina's drawers. It's always perfection. It's beautiful. It almost makes me cry when I look in there. So please do that. And then we've done a Kanban, or a water spider project, and we use it now in 4 of our production areas, and we're thinking about implementing it in more. What we were thinking here is that we want to let the production people do what they are really good at, which is what? Well, I hope they're good at producing product, because that's what we want them to do. And we want the warehouse people to handle the inventory, to keep it correct and healthy. So we decided to divide this. And we measured that our operators were taking 271 minutes of their day to go in the inventory, getting like one screw. I forgot this, I need to go again. And then they did it again, and again, and again, and again through the day. And they even told me that when we were taking this measurement, that was an easy day. So we went from 271 minutes to 50 minutes, which is the Kanban lady that is doing the route. And we called them the Kanban sisters. We weren't quite happy about that, so we decided to, stop it. But you can see also here the before and after of the spaghetti diagram we did with this. Then we've also done process improvements and time measurements, operator balance chart, combined workstation. And in this particular event, we went from 3 operators to 2. And Iceland is a small country. Our companies are normally relatively small compared to the others. So if you, this table here, are doing a Kaizen, and I know you, so I can pick on you, and you would be fired after that Kaizen, how long time would it take until this entire room would find out? And then I would like to ask, who of you wants to be in the next Kaizen with me? No hands. I'm so surprised. No ideas. You're crazy. But we don't fire people after being in Kaizen. We try to redeploy them. And what I would like to do is that if this happens, that use the super operators and get them trained in Lean and get them going on helping more. And now I want to talk a little bit about mini Kaizens, which we want to do more, because we want our supervisors to be able to have the freedom to change without a big 3-day event like that. And mini Kaizens are a great way. goes through the same steps as the big one, but a lot smaller, can be from half a day to 1 day. And we want to link our mini Kaizens to our suggestion systems as well. Because, it's so easy to say, I have an idea for you. I'm not going to implement it. And I have an idea for you and you. So easy to point always at others. But what we want to do is that we want our operators to say, we can change it and I'm going to do it as a mini Kaizen. And this is Sveinbjörn, he's also here. So when you see these people, you can go and talk to them. They're quite friendly. He's actually changed the cell on the go a few times. Oh, there he is. And, done a great job, and, kudos to that. The only thing that we could do better here is to document our results, because it's so in our nature as Icelandic people to just go and do it, but we don't really document the results. So that's what we want to improve on. Then I want to talk a little bit about the to-be workshops that our global process development team is doing. Their goal is to optimize the way we do business by looking at our current state processes and doing workshop in order to find out how the new future state look like. And their goal is to optimize the way we do business by implementing best practices process, and they bring value to our customers. Yeah, it's not really my group, but what they're doing is fantastic. And what they do is that they're looking at the current state, and then they have this 2B workshops, this is 2.5 days, and they get all the key players, managers, and people that are involved, and they look at the 7 ways, and they think, where do we want to go? Where is our future state? And from that, they develop the future state and implement it. So quite exciting times at Össur with this. Now the juicy part. What do our employees think about Kaizen? This is Magnus. He's here also. Like I said before, training of people was the key for us. And we decided to train process owner and supervisor, and we wanted them to do a Kaizen. And he was actually the first one to lead a Kaizen, and it went very well. And the people really listened to him. And this is where we want to go. We don't want this to be, Viktoría can't do a Kaizen. Okay, we won't do any Kaizen today, or I'm sick, or if I do something. We don't want that. We want everyone to be able to do it. So he's just the first of hopefully many supervisors in Össur that will be able to do this. Okay, first of all, just to be 100% clear, I did not pay her to say this. She said this of her own free will. We did a really big 5S event and flow changes in CNC area. And I said to her, Hrefna, how do you like Kaizens? And she said this to me, and yes, I almost cried. She said, I really like Kaizens because I feel that I'm really being listened to and that my opinion matters. And I said, well, of course, I'll listen to you. And she's been with the company for a long time, and she said to me it's happened more than once, more than twice, that she comes to work in the morning, and this is before Lean, by the way, it was like ages ago. She said, I came in the morning and the complete flow was changed. I didn't even know, where my pens were, everything was changed. And I didn't have any say in where to, put things and stuff. I said, oh, okay. And now I want to do a quick poll here. If you come to work on Monday and somebody has moved your desk and your personal belongings and put it somewhere else, who would be very happy? Nobody. Are you kidding? But continuous improvement and we're getting things done and better. You belong there. Exactly. You want to have a say. Even though we have to move you in the end, at least you have a say and we can talk about it. And then we had few silicone packaging Kaizens. And what we can never forget is all about the people. And when we forget that, we make mistakes. For some reason, these Kaizen events in the silicone area have not all been successful. And the operator felt like they weren't being listened to, that they didn't know what was expected of them, and they didn't feel part of the Kaizen. They felt like they were more just observing. And what happened? It didn't work. And nobody was checking if the project worked. So that area became more of a problem than before the Kaizen. And in the end, we said, okay, we did a mistake. Let's correct it and find a better way. And multicultural, we have employees from many countries, and this is Duc Man Dong from Vietnam. And his Icelandic is not perfect, but it is good. And if we can't find it in ourselves to talk a little slower and explain a little better for our foreign friends, we are in trouble, because they also have fantastic ideas. So please note that. And then we have here the Silicon supervisor, Dagny and Þórdís, and they know firsthand that it's really hard to do Kaizens when there's no stability. Stability is really important. But after stability came and we did more Kaizens, they actually said that that has given them opportunity to quit firefighting and they have actually time to work. And what they say is the most important thing before a Kaizen is a stability and mutual trust, and that in a Kaizen you need to put your ego aside and play as a part of the team. And here you can see them in the new lounge area. They have, plenty of time kicking back. Isn't that? And then just a quick thank you to our supporting team, because these big Kaizens could not be done without a great support. And this is our maintenance team. And even though when I call them, I'm like, yeah, Ivar, yes, we're doing a Kaizen now. Can you please come now and help me? Yes, I know it's not a big notice. Can you come? They always come. They're not maybe the happiest in the world when they have to work overtime, and I didn't tell them, but they still come. And now I always try to give them heads up before I go. Now, sustaining the result. This is always the hardest part. Anyone gone on a diet here? Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing with this. It's always hardest. You're really strong in January, and you look into all the gyms, and you can see people on the treadmills going January, yes. And what happens in April? One person. All the others are just like eating Snickers or something, I don't know. But that is the hardest thing, and it's hard for us too. And we are okay in doing the 30-day follow-up, but we could really do better in the 60 and 90-day follow-up. What we also want to do is do more Gemba walks, and with the audits in the 5S, that helps sustain the results. Also, by choosing our Kaizens connected to our A3s and strategic deployment, we think that we will do better at sustaining the results, because we are always measuring those metrics. And now, the benefits. You can really see it in the bottom line. Financially, we're doing better, production smoother, standard cost same since 2008, and even decreased in some areas. It's very hard to connect this to a single event, but together this has helped us. For instance, in the silicon manufacturing area, we reached the inventory goal for the first time in many years. Scrap rate is going down and results are sustained. Actual cost significantly lower than standard cost for the first quarter. March, the best month ever for Iceland with the highest value in exported goods. Scrap rate and CCP very low and results sustained. And like I said before, our goal is to try to get better in measuring single Kaizens. But for now, we can do all these Kaizens because our managers can see that it really matters. But it's not really about the tools. It's about getting people engaged to want to find better ways to do their work. Then it does not matter if you call it a Kaizen, Chingsen, or even Snickers. But a structure for the project helps, and our Kaizen structure works for us. And I want to say one thing, we are not implementing Kaizen. We are using Kaizen as a change tool to help us implement things. The next steps for Össur in the lean journey is continue to doing Kaizens. We want to do more office Kaizens and supply chains, increase mini Kaizens through our suggestion system, go further towards one-piece flow, train everyone as we can, and be the best company that we can. And this is Örn, he's director of M&O Iceland, and I was asking him, unfortunately cannot meet him here today, but I was talking to him and I said, what has been the best thing for you? And he said this, and I also did not pay him for this. He said, Kaizens are the most efficient way that we have found in order to make changes happen. And I think on this note I will end. Thank you.